Hello folks, I hope you're having a great day today. Today I want to take a look, I want to head back to the Elric series and take a look at Fortress of the Pearl, which was a novel that Moorcock wrote in this series. It's written later after he'd finished the series. One of the things that Moorcock will actually do, and he does this with Elric, he doesn't do it with the other characters, is that he'll actually, after he concludes the series with Stormbringer, he'll actually go back and write other stories, but whereas he will sometimes go back and write stories with other heroes, he goes back with Hawkmoon and has a second series. Hawkmoon after the first quartet, and he also will go back to Corum and have another trilogy with Corum. Those take place after the series, but Stormbringer ends the series very definitively. So one of the things that Moorcock will do is later on he'll actually write stories that are set from the first story, Elric of Anonymity, and Stormbringer, and they'll be set somewhere, and there's decades in there, so there's plenty of time for there to have more stories. And so he'll go back there, he'll put short stories there, he'll put, he'll have other people write things there too. I didn't intend to have it yet, but here's one, for example, he's got one over there. But he has a number of stories that he'll go back to and write as a part of this ongoing and growing storyline. And one of the things that you're having happening in there is this change, this shift with more and more stories being written in Elric. He will basically come back and keep writing more stories, and this is one of the earlier ones that he will do. It's Fortress of the Pearl. Now, it's written much later than the Elric series, but it's actually the second book chronologically. Now, I've already reviewed for you the first book, Elric of Anonymity, which was written after the series had started. It's kind of the prequel that lets you know how things got started. And then I wrote for you the next book that was written for the series, Sealer on the Seas of Fate, which was intended to be the second book in the series. Both of those written in the 70s. Now this one's kind of set between the two. Elric is still is new with the sword. He's still kind of bouncy. He hasn't been jaded yet. That'll happen, but he's still kind of in this sort of, still has some positive aspects to him. He hasn't become fully fallen. The jaded anti-hero that he'll become later on, the jaded brooding anti-hero that we'll all know and love. And Sailor of the Seas of Fate has him as more of that. And you'll see some of that transformation take place during Sailor of the Seas of Fate too. But anyway, but that's going to be taking place here. There's also a sequel to this book that's also there too, and that is, I wasn't expecting to show this, so I didn't have it ready. The Dream Thief's Daughter, which will also be another Elric sort of novel that's written during this time period. But anyway, you get the idea. There's going to be a number of things happening. So we'll take a look at Fortress of the Pearl. It's an interesting story. It's very well. It comes after Moorcock has basically finished his craft, and so he's a much better writer. And so I think it's very well written and very well done. I also think it's the second story that I've read for you. The second story that I've reviewed for you from Moorcock that has Inferno as from Dante as its source material. So let's also take a look at that too. And then take a look at the story. All right, so let's open up. So this is again an earlier story in the Elric series. It's going to open up in this Quartz Haven, in the city where he's at, and he has run out of herbs to help sustain him, and so he is looking to find some local things. He's turned to the city. He's trying to find some herbs that will sustain him. As a reminder, Elric is this tall, little tiny waif of a person. He's the smallest person ever, and he is so sickly that he has to sustain himself with magic and herbs, and the sword Stormbringer, which sucks souls out of people and will help sustain him too. Otherwise, he'll die. He's just a little waif of a person. He was created as the anti-Conan. So anyway, that's sort of what's been happening. He's run out of his herbs, his magical herbs, so he's looking for more. So he can continue to sustain his life. That's what's brought him to this town. It's a market town. Anyway, while he's there, the town is very seedy, very antagonistic. It has a lot of things, particularly the oligarchy that's there, that rules it. And there is one in particular, Lord Go, who seems particularly seedy. Lord Go, there is this fable that's of the town, that there is this pearl at the heart of the world. And that the path will be opened by somebody who meets the prophecy. And Elric seems to meet the prophecy, so they suspect that he has this ability. So what Lord Go does, while treating him, he administers to him a slow-acting poison that will kill him, but he gives him enough time to go on a quest for the pearl at the heart of the world, and then bring it back. So now Elric is forced to undergo the prophecy, which he obviously could care less about on behalf of this town, and specifically Lord Go, so he'll bring it back to Lord Go, rather than bring it back to somebody else or selling it himself or using it himself for whatever purpose the pearl at the heart of the world has. And then that is concluded, and now he's heading off. He winds up searching for this priestess named Veralia, and she is a dream priest, if you will, who has created a lot of dreamlands. And basically she's been lost in one of these dreamlands, and so they have to, him and this protege he's picked up named Un, in this small town where there's a dream market. There are these dream thieves who will steal these dreams from others, and then go and sell them in the dream market. They're going to have to enter the world of dreams, and so they do so. And most of the book is going to take place in the dream world. And there are 7 different realms in the dream world, each of them based on different aspects of dream. There's the realm of madness, the realm of lost loves. And I mean, I've read this novel like 10 years ago, but there's 7 realms in it. They're divided into these different things that they're going to have to go through before they get to the 7th realm. But they have to go through all the outer ones first before they get to the middle one. And anyway, that's the story. Now, you can tell from the story, the title of the Dream Thief's daughter, that Elric is going to tell you. You can tell that there's going to be a romantic connection between Un and Elric that will result in him having a daughter through her later on. But anyway, Un and Veralia, because this is written in the late 80s, are much more stronger women than the women that appeared in the Elric series early on, or Moorcock's writing early on, where women are more like damsels in distress, that sort of thing. In this case, they are they have much more power. They're much more. This is after, you can clearly tell this is after 70s feminism, and Moorcock's works will slowly over time have stronger female leads, and in this case they do too. Un is his main companion and the dream thief who will guide him through the land of dreams, and the priestess that they're chasing after will also be doing the same. This novel reminds me a lot of The Warhound and the World's Pain in some good ways. I reviewed for you The Warhound and the World's Pain already. It's my favorite Moorcock novel. In it, basically, it's set during the 100 Years' War, right after some of the major battles, and some of the darkness has fallen over Europe. And basically what's happening is that Satan wants to redeem himself. So he has set a Grail quest to find a Holy Grail, and the Holy Grail is meant to end the world's pain. And in that story, they're basically trying to find the Holy Grail. This particularly bad guy who, and the idea, who's done a lot of evil things in the war. The idea is that this will also be his path to redemption too. So both him and Satan are on a redemption quest, if you will, for the Holy Grail that will end the world's pain. And that's what they're questing for. And it's actually pretty good. But anyway, this story does have a lot of those sort of elements. It also has that story, Warhound and the World's Pain, clearly was influenced by Dante's Inferno. And this is too. You had these 7 different realms. You have to go through one in order before you find her in the 7th realm. Each of the realms is very different. And they have different sort of rules and restrictions. Also, because it's the dream world, Elric's normal strengths are removed here. He can't use his sword. He can't use his magical powers. He's cut off from aid from Ariok, his demon prince boss, if you will, the guy who gives him some power, and he can turn to for help when he's turned into too much. But here he's on his own. And that's very interesting to kind of see him, but this is early on in his career. So there you are. That's Fortress of the Pearl. I'll go ahead and leave it there for you. Have you read it? Have you heard of it? What did you think of my review? Did you agree or disagree? Is there anything in it you would like to discuss? I'm happy to have that conversation with you, and that'll leave you to it. And then that's it. I'll leave you to the rest of the conversation and so forth. And I'll link you below to the book online in case you're interested in checking it out, or some other Elric books and so forth. That's Fortress of the Pearl for you. All right. If you really enjoyed this video, hey, that's great. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. There's going to be so many more of these reviews to follow. And finally, I want to thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. We all have so much things happening in our lives. The fact that you spent this time with me, that's very humbling. And I appreciate that. Have a good one.